obviously, we want the best for our kids, but sometimes when we think that we're helping them, we're actually hurting them.
I just think sometimes when I've seen parents trying to be protective, you know, or trying to make sure that their kids always have good experiences, it can be stifling.
Absolutely, and limiting to your child, right?
That's right. Some parents tend to infantilize their own kids. Infantilize usually refers to treating adults as kids,
right?
But it can also apply to your own kids when you treat them in a way that denies their maturity.
Right. And so one of the things that I think people do is that, you know, they just don't allow their kids to grow up.
Yeah, things like baby talk.
The baby talk.
Cutting their food for them even when they're old enough to cut it themselves.
Yes.
There's someone I know who's a parent who has a tendency to do that with his daughter.
Yeah.
Ever so lovingly and slightly.
My husband. I mean, like when my daughter even like pours something, and she's 12. Okay, she is 12. When she pours something like lemonade, he's like, "Be careful! It's gonna be watch yourself." I'm like, it's okay.
She's really mastered this whole cup liquid thing at 12. But also it's lovely. It's all so lovely and caring. But we were getting out of the car, and so he was getting her backpack. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm taking a second because, you know, I like to carry her backpack for her, but she has to put her headphone," and it went on and on and on. I mean, I can't do the whole thing because we have time limitations. But I was like, he really takes care of her.
He does.
And so I find it interesting. It's like that level of it's very loving, like I said, but will she be able to pour her own drinks?
Yes.
And as an adult, let me tell you, that's a skill you need.
Yeah, well, we polled our Frangelistas about whether they think it's okay to use baby talk with kids, and 28% of you said yes, and 72% of you said no.
I think it's, there's the thing. I use baby talk with animals. You've heard me. I'll talk to kids just like this.
Yeah.
But if you put a puppy or a kitty, it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, there's the question of kids sleeping in their parents' bed. I could talk to you about that.
Family bed.
Woo, child. I mean, I still have to kick my 12-year-old out of my bed.
Well, that's the thing. I just never... That wasn't something, I don't even know if that was allowed. I have no memory of being allowed.
When I was a kid, when I would get scared, I remember up till the age of 11, my parents were like, "You can't get into bed." So I would sleep at the foot of their bed when I was afraid.
I used to hide down there because remember, I think it was CBS, they came up with that ad that was like, "It's 8 p.m. Do you know what your kids are watching?" Oh, that was the bane of my existence because they would forget I was there.
Yeah.
I would get into the way I'd get the covers so that they made a little circle, and I'd be hiding in there, and then that thing would come on and blow my whole cover.
Yeah. Well, we hit the streets and asked our neighbors how old they were when they stopped sleeping in their parents' bed. Take a look.
I was probably maybe, from what I can remember, probably 3 or 4 when I stopped sleeping in my parents' bed. I was pretty much kind of thought I was grown and wanted to be in my own bed, so I wasn't really clingy growing up.
I don't think I ever slept in my parents' bed because they had a really strict rule about me sleeping on my bed.
I would say I was 4 or 5.
I cried, but I got over it. My sister said, "Hey, you can come sleep in my bed with me," so I got over it.
That's
I don't have any memories of that. I don't think that we were allowed to.
I can tell you tales about my parents kicking me out the bed. My father being like, "Get out!"
I slept with weapons. Those mini bats that you would get at the ballpark. I used to keep all of those in the bed with me. I don't know. It's just the way I was.
Oh my goodness.
I saw Jaws too young, and I really did think a shark was going to come up the stairs.
Yeah.
For a number of years. So we have an expert on Skype to help us out with this. The Windy City nanny, Florence and Romano. Hi, Florence Ann. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my favorite ladies. What's going on?
How common is it for parents to over-coddle their kids?
Oh, I see it so often, but I have to say sometimes it's the opposite effect now, where they're not infantilizing their children as much and they speak to them like they are adults.
Yes.
And it's now the other side. They're always extreme. I'm waiting to find the happy medium, but you're either speaking into them like they're babies and you're cutting their food for them until they're 21, or you're talking to them like they're adults when they're infants.
That's amazing, too. There doesn't seem to be a happy medium.
I have a question for somebody who's here at this desk, who's a parent. How old should a child be when they stop sleeping in their parents' bed? Asking for a friend.
Well, I got to tell you, whenever I go back to my parents' house, my mother still sleeps in bed with me. She still comes in my room and goes, I'm going to sleep here tonight. Aww. And I think it's adorable. Honestly, I don't like to put an age limit on it. I mean, if they're probably beyond the age of 6 or 7, it's probably getting a little too old. But there's a difference between you wanting to bond with your child maybe
yes.
before they go to sleep or talk to them and just have those memories with them than them sleeping in your bed because you've created a really bad habit for them since they were infants and they never had that transition. They can do both. You just have to find the happy medium of when they're allowed in the bed. Is it when they're scared? Is it when they're sick?
Exactly.
When do you let them do that? Or do you go to their room? Is that a way you get them out of that routine too?
Exactly. Our daughter doesn't sleep with us, but if she's sick or she's afraid, every now and then she want to come and get in the bed. Or Saturday mornings when you want to bond,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Let's say you already have been treating your older child like a baby. Do you have any tips or anything that people can do to start to address that? Like, how do you, if you've been cutting a kid's food and they're 12, what do you do?
I think someone like me needs to come in there and be like, hey, we're gonna cut this out today, and then I get to be the bad guy. No, I mean, there are ways you can stop it, but it's gonna have to be more cold turkey, and unfortunately that's gonna hurt more, for the parent and the child. And if you're already not following through, unfortunately you're probably not gonna do a good job of consistently following through with not letting them continue this behavior. It's gonna start with you. So the first thing I would say is try to make their room a really fun place, a magical place, somewhere they feel good. Are they afraid of being in there alone? Have you created this idea that it's scary for them to be alone? So you have to get to the root of what's going on there. Is it just that you have to break a bad habit? That's easier than if there's another reason in their mind for why they don't want to be without you
like
or
sharks.
in their own room.
Yes.
Sharks coming
like
into
sharks,
your house.
that's pretty legit.
Well, Florence, and I have a question about technology, because there are parents who are saying, should they be reading their kids' text messages? Should they have a tracker on their phone?
Look at that face she made.
Should they, is that treating them like children, or is that being practical or checking in?
Yeah, I wonder if my parents had been reading my text messages, if I had access to a cell phone, oh my gosh, I think I would have been editing a lot of probably what I was writing in those text messages. Nothing bad, but you just think about it that way. And I have to say, I saw one parent do it really well. Her children, she raised 5 girls, all of them through high school, had to give her their cell phone at night when they went to bed until they went to college.
Wow.
Now, she wasn't reading through their text, but they weren't allowed to have the phone in their room. I thought that was a really smart idea because, a lot of things happen after a certain bewitching hour where kids are on technology. And they do need to turn off those cell phones, not just because they're going to get into, naughty business or anything like that, but it's a way for them also to be able to decompress before they go to bed and actually relax. That screen time is not good for you.
No, it's not. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much, Florence.
Me Time with Frangela.